Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Parks, Arts, and Community Services Commission of June 24th. We'll call this meeting to order at 4:02. At this time, I'd like to invite Commissioner Andrade Vallarta to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you so much, Chair. All right, you all can take positions. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. The next order of business is roll call.
I just, Chair, I don't know if I think I just brought Commissioner Glab into the meeting, so.
All right, I do see his face popping up there. All right, would you call the roll, Sylvia?
Yes, I will. Chair Ashendorf,
Present.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Present.
Commissioner Glab, Commissioner Glab, can you unmute?
Here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Commissioner Vallarta,
Here.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Here.
thank you.
All right, the next item on this afternoon's agenda is the approval of the minutes of May 27th. Do we have any corrections this evening? Yes, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a small correction to the minutes on the motion for the Flyfield item. Sorry, I'm finding it on there.
Okay.
Where the motion.
Are we on page 9?
Yes, on page 9, included in the motion is a recommendation for the CNSAGE Audubon. When we made the motion at the last meeting, included was a recommendation for the CNSAGE Audubon Society to provide input on the timing and the activities at the Flyfield in the regulation. So if we could just revisit that language and include that, that's my motion.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair.
Am I, Cynthia,
yes.
Are you able to go back through and check on that language? Did you want to state that? Or
actually, Jason, I have a screen share of what we talked about. There were actually two items that I think I did not get included. If I can, I'll screen share real quick.
Thank you.
This is on page 9. Can you see it now?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. On page 9, as Vice Chair Rutherford said, he on the video, added adjust permitted flying time availability of Flyfield for use based on recommendations from Audubon. That's the one he just mentioned. And then Commissioner Dorn Parker, this is not in the motion, but again was on video and is in the minutes, to also include a stipulation for staff to also modify as they see necessary. So those were the two pieces that I pulled out of the minutes that were on video that didn't get captured in the motion.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. DaCosta. So I would just like to revise my motion then to include the highlighted recommendations of Ms. DaCosta.
And I'll second that. So to approve the minutes with those changes noted.
Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Rutherford? Because I think
Yes,
that's how you read the message. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Cynthia. All right, then. Do we, all those in favor?
I believe we may have to take public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. We'll open up public comment for the approval of the minutes.
Thank you. If you have a comment on the minutes, please raise your hand. I have one hand. I have Bettina Eastman.
Thank you.
Bettina, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
I thank you so much for your time and attention. I just wanted to thank Vice Chair Rutherford for making sure that that is in the, that language is in the motion of the minutes. And that we're more than happy to help further make sure these things move forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have another raised hand, just a moment.
All right. And thank you, Ms. Eastman.
I have David Martinez. David, you have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Under Park Ranger Monthly Report, I just wanted to do a little correction. It's the, at that time, it was the seventh bike license citation in that location since October, which is when you first started reporting. I just wanted to quickly make that correction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that a correction to what was stated during the meeting or a correction based on what's taken place up till now?
I don't know if I said 8th or 7th during the meeting, but I do know that I said October instead of August, because that's when you first started reporting the Park Ranger Monthly Report. At the January meeting, you went back to October.
Okay. We'll make that note, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Any other members of the public wishing to speak to the minutes?
No, Chair Ashendorf, I think that closes that.
Thank you very much. Then we'll close public comment and call for the question.
Sound?
Sorry. Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Commissioner Villarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
and Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Oh. All right, and thank staff very much for making every effort to try to capture that 4-hour and 5-minute meeting that we had last month. We really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda will be public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes on items other than those listed on our agenda this afternoon. Sylvia, do we have members of the public wishing to address the commission?
If you'd like to address the commission on an item not listed on the agenda, can you please raise your hand? Yes, I have 2. Let me.
Thank you.
I have Jim. Jim, if you'd like to speak, unmute yourself. Thank you. Go ahead.
Great. Hey, thanks. Good afternoon. Thanks for taking my comments. The name is Jim Erickson. I just had a couple of observations. I'd heard that pickleball was coming back inside, and that's fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people are happy about it. In traveling around the city, I see pickleball played on many quiet residential streets. There is tape on the asphalt, and people bring out their nets. And it goes to show what we already know, which is a really popular sport around here. And I feel like there's more that we could do to support that. The weather's pretty good where we live, and we could have pickleball outdoors. And in fact, there's a court at Tanninger Park. It's painted into the concrete at the demolished basketball court there. So if anybody owns a net, they can go play there. But I'd just love to see the city do a little bit more to promote that. And then in my travels, I noticed, and I should have noticed it before, but a vacant lot near a lot of high density housing on Charlie Street. That's spelled C-H-A-R-L-E Street. It's right behind Ready Rentals area on Harbor Boulevard. And there's a lot of new high density housing going up. There's a lot of high density housing that exists there. The developers of those housing tracts probably paid fees for parks, and it's kind of a park poor area. So I just started to wheels turning, thinking that this body ought to know about that blank space of dirt and grass in the middle of the city. It's been that way for decades, and it might be a great place for a park to possibly include a pickleball court and maybe some bicycling features. Who knows? But the need is certainly there. So it's 237 Charlie Drive. And then finally, I was just wondering, maybe this was covered already, but whether or not the meetings are going to start moving back to a time when more people from the public can attend, like 5, 6 p.m. sort of time slot, when more people who work during the day but would otherwise like to come and speak and listen could be part of that. Those are my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. I'll bring the next speaker in. David, did you want to speak again?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to express my thanks because I recently went over to Shalimar Park and I noticed that there was a new bike rack there. And that was one of the parks I mentioned last time that did not have a bike rack, and now it does. I haven't been to Wimbledon Park recently, but I don't know if there is a bike rack there yet or not, but if there isn't, I hope we get one soon. And then of course there's always Fairview Park, which I think I heard that there are plans to get a bike rack in there soon. So I'm very excited for all of our parks to have a bike rack very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Is there anyone else, Sylvia?
Chair Ashendorf, no, I do not see any more hands raised, so we can
All
go.
right. Thank you very much. Then we'll close public comment. And now we will move on to commissioner comments. Let's start with Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to be super brief and say that I just wanted to extend my thanks and gratitude to everybody on city staff in the Parks and Community Services team, Mr. Minter, Mr. Ryan, Sylvia, Monique. I know it's been a remarkable pivot to reopen everything with all the programs that are going on. I know there are many residents that are enjoying them right now to have their kids enrolled in these programs. So I really appreciate all the work that's gone into that. And then secondly, the two members of the public that we just heard testimony from, Jim and David, I think they raised good points that I would appreciate that we could look into. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Next, Commissioner Glab.
Yes, I forgot to mention in our last meeting, but I took a tour of the city facilities with Director Mentor and Monique and had a nice time. I was able to see all the things that were offered, and just wanted to extend my appreciation for taking the time out to show us some of the facilities and what's available out there to the community. So just wanted to thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Andrade Vallarta.
No comments for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, thank you. So I was contacted by some families of the public, one in particular about Harper Park. That's a heavily used park. It's in collaboration with Newport Mesa, and there's some issues beyond just the playground equipment, but dogs. So that was interesting. And I want to thank Director Mentor. We had quite a conversation about how to serve the public within the limitations of budgets and times of improvement. It's interesting that the member of the public, Jim, brought up about pickleball. This reminds me of the handball craze. This shows you how old I am, that the city quickly converted a lot of like walls and spaces when those of us that really liked handball could be back. So I would love to see, and I would be happy to volunteer to see a subcommittee on how we can enjoy this craze. I, for one, would love to see more outdoor parks and see where we can collaborate and get this up and have additional classes in the evening. I know it's seen as a retiree function, but I think more and more young people like me would love to be able to take pickleball lessons and find courts, because we know if we teach them how to play pickleball and we really encourage it, we know we'll need more spots. So I just want to thank that member of the public, and that's it for me.
Thank you. For staff, I'd like to follow up again on the comment I made last month. As we're moving ahead to fall, I'm hoping that the recreation guide will be mailed to residents. It really provides an additional value to our families to have and seniors to have that rec guide in their hand. I had a conversation yesterday with Hank Castanetti, who was over the moon excited to announce that they received the OCME, Orange County Model Engineers, received $5,000 nonprofit COVID relief, which they are going to be using towards their trestle rebuilding. So we're getting one step closer in that avenue. For the public, there is an informational resource meeting tonight at the Costa Mesa Senior Center from 6 to 8 p.m. And it's free and open to the public. And at this meeting, they will offer updates on vaccines, rental assistance, food securities, and housing. So if you have time, please stop by. And I'm also excited to say that the Costa Mesa Senior Center is now finally offering a mix of virtual and in-person programs and resources. And in-person requires masks, social distancing, and pre-registration. But you want to talk about over the moon, the seniors are happy to start beginning to get back into their center. Finally, I'd like to ask staff's consideration for something that there are two items that are listed on our city website on Parks and Rec Department. One is the PAX Chairperson Award that generally has gone to recognize people in the community who have done a yeoman's job of improving and making public aware of our parks, recreation, and parkways. And the other thing I'd like to have us consider is the Parks and Rec Landscape Streets Beautification Award. I think bringing this back and acknowledging our residents who are doing a great job of keeping their properties managed and manicured would be a great consideration. So that concludes my comments at this time. There are no items on the consent calendar or old business, so we will now move to new business, tree removal request.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Ashendorf, Vice Chair Rutherford. Commission, let me pull up my screen here. The first item that we have before you is a request for the removal of a tree located at 1624 Sandalwood Street. The applicant contacted the Maintenance Services Department on May 3rd, requesting the removal of a Canary Island pine tree located in the parkway in front of their address. The applicant reported that the tree roots were lifting the sidewalk and that the tree was dropping an excessive amount of sap, large pine cones, and pine needles that would drop onto their property and vehicles. The city arborist inspected the tree and found no justification for removal at staff level. The applicant was notified of the findings and requested that the tree be presented to the PAX Commission for consideration as a Category 3 discretionary removal. The tree was inspected on May 4th, 2021. It is approximately 60 feet in height and is growing in a 5-foot parkway. It's healthy, pest-free, in good condition, and was last maintained on April 24th, 2018, which is well within our maintenance schedule. City staff did address some of the minor lifts of sidewalks on May 3rd. They performed several sidewalk grinds. They're depicted in these photos. There were no signs of significant pine needles on the ground at the time of inspection, nor were there signs of an abundance of sap residue. It is completely normal and natural for pine trees to shed their old needles and produce new ones. And they do to produce pine cones, and sap drip is also a natural occurrence associated with pine trees. The photos supplied by the applicant do show pine needles on the ground on his property, but did not appear to be an unusual amount for this type of tree. Nor did staff. Staff made several visits to the area in the last couple of months and didn't observe any significant pine needle drop. Obviously, the The lawn is well manicured, so it may be a result of maintenance performed by the applicant. The city-owned tree being requested for removal is located in the public right-of-way at 1624 Sandalwood Street. The tree is in good condition, has been maintained on a regular schedule. The sidewalk lifts have been addressed by city staff. There does not appear to be an unusual amount of tree debris from considering this type of tree. The tree does not meet the criteria for category 1 health and safety removal. Therefore, it is recommended that the commission deny the request to remove this tree. That ends my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Before we open this item up to the public, are there any specific questions of Mr. Ryan from the commission at this time? All right. Seeing none, then Sylvia, would you, we'll open this up for public comment?
Sure, I think I have the applicant waiting, and I also have someone else with their hand up. So let me get Paula Coleman in. Paula, I have you in the meeting if you'd like to address the commission. Ms. Coleman, if you could unmute. Oh, there. You can, Ms. Coleman, if you hit star 6, it will unmute your phone. Okay, I'll put her back and I'll bring the others in.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Nancy Richardson. Nancy, if you'd like to speak, if you'd like to unmute yourself on this item, you have.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have a new computer. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I am the sister of the person that lives at 1624 Sandalwood. And I would like to say that I have lived in Costa Mesa my whole life, except for the last few years. And I never heard of such a thing where somebody can't remove a tree or plant a tree based on their own liking. This tree poses a lot of problems, especially during the holidays. When we come to visit her during the holidays, the pine needles fall in the fall and in the spring, and the sap too. And the sap is a big, big problem. My husband is in auto body, and he has a very hard time removing the sap, and it takes the clear coat off of the paint jobs that you see nowadays. Also, we've had a few dents from the big pine cones that fall. So we don't park there anymore. Nobody that we know that knows about this parks there. And it really poses a problem when everybody around us is having their relatives for different holidays. Nobody has a place to park, and some of us are getting old, and we can't walk that far. So I would like to appeal to you on that one. Also, she has offered to pay for any costs to remove that tree, and I think it would be wonderful if one of you adopted her tree so she could plant a tree that she would like to have in her yard. She's willing to pay for it. I think that's more than fair. If you look around her neighborhood, there's a lot of desert-like new water-free maintenance homes around there, and they've all removed their trees. Why can't, and they haven't really replaced it with anything except for a cactus. So I'm wondering why that is such a problem. That tree is huge, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and that tree is going to fall someday, and I hope it's not on her house, which she has already had happen once. I would like to know, if you don't remove that tree and I park underneath it, who should I send my bill to for future damage? Because that is definitely something that we need to consider when we can't park anywhere close on the holidays. And I'm wondering in a non-HOA environment, how can the city have any kind of control over what to plant? That's why people join HOAs, but I've never, I've lived on Arbor Street in Costa Mesa. I've lived on Royce Lane in Costa Mesa and Myrtlewood Street. And I've never had anybody tell us what we could plant and what we couldn't plant. So I would just like to close with saying I really would like to see her be able to take that tree out. And if it's a healthy tree, then one of you adopt it. That's what I'm suggesting. And by the way, Southern California is open. I go to lots of different board meetings and everybody's in session. So I would hope to see that we could come in person next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Richardson.
I have two others who would like to speak on this issue, and I don't see Ms. Coleman. I think she got dropped. So let me bring in Jay Humphrey. Jay, if you'd like to speak, you have 2 minutes.
Good morning, good afternoon, Commission. I live right next door to that tree, and I find it interesting that staff took a picture showing that there was no needles on the ground. You'll notice in that picture is a trash can. That's the green trash can to cover, for greenery. The applicant actually mows his lawn every day before trash day is trash day and picks up all the fronds. Trust me, that is an unusual picture because there is a lot of needles off that tree and it drops pine cones year round. That tree was planted originally by the city with no request to the owner of the property. They just came and planted a tree and said, well, that tree's supposed to have pines on it. Well, there's only one pine tree that's been planted, except the one right beyond it. And that was planted a lot earlier. It's a lot older tree, and it does not drop. It's a different variety, I guess, because it doesn't drop the kind of long needles and pine cones on a literally daily basis. I have pine cones and tree needles in my property all the time, and it just becomes a project to clean it up. The reality is that the tree has been a problem for a number of years, and the applicant, and for that matter, I'm an advocate of a urban forest. However, this is not an appropriate tree for a neighborhood. It may be an appropriate tree for a actual forest setting, but not for an urban forest. And my belief is that there are more appropriate trees for providing shade and what have you to a community. Secondarily, the applicant is absolutely happy to live by the rules of not only replacing the tree, but also adding the 3 extra trees to continue to grow the urban forest of Costa Mesa. But this tree has been a problem, continues to be a problem. And I just invite all of you to come over when the summer's going and park on that tree for an hour. I just invite you guys to do that. And then you guys can deal with the dings in your roof or the sap on your car. And that's okay. But I would really appreciate that you think about this. And I certainly strongly support that tree removal under the condition that the applicant pay for it and the applicant not only replace that tree, but add 3 small trees to the urban forest so that you guys can actually expand Costa Mesa's urban forest. As some of you know, I'm an advocate for Fairview Park. I'm an advocate for healthy, strong trees in the right place under the right circumstances. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. And hopefully the applicant has been able to make that connection back to you guys on her phone. Thank you much for your time today.
Thank you. I think Ms. Coleman has, let me bring her back in here.
Thank you.
The applicant. Ms. Coleman, can you hear us? Can you speak? Ms. Coleman, go ahead and speak. don't hear her. I don't show her and show her muted. All right, I'll bring in the next person. I have Flo Martin. Flo, would you like to speak on this item? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I've lived in my house for 53 years here in College Park. About 15 years ago, I planted a fir tree similar to the one that we're discussing. It is almost as tall as the one that is at issue here. I'm almost 80 years old, and I rake the long needles in the front yard and in my front patio on a weekly basis. There's no problem there. This tree that is being proposed to be cut down is a beautiful tree, and there are so many, hundreds and hundreds of fir trees just like that one all over Costa Mesa. Costa Mesa is known as the city of the trees. I strongly oppose cutting down this beautiful tree. It's a living creature and it deserves to survive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Sylvia, did we happen to connect with Ms. Coleman?
I'm going to try one more time.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Coleman, go ahead and speak.
I wonder if her mic is turned up high enough. I hear noise in the background, but not her voice clearly.
Ms. Coleman? I'm sorry, Ms. Coleman, we can't hear you. All right, I'll go ahead and remove her. I can't hear her. Sorry about that.
Please note that Ms. Coleman was online and we tried to make several attempts to connect with her to be heard this evening. All right, we'll close public comment then at this time and open this up to the commission for clarification or any other questions. Yes, Commissioner Glab.
Yeah, I stopped by and visited with the homeowner a little bit, and there were several pine needles in the yard. So I just swung by. It's not far from where I lived. And yeah, they've had some problems with it, seems like, for the last few years. Also, on that street, there were some other trees that were removed by the city. So there's a precedence on that street regarding removal of other trees. So I just wanted to bring that up. Also, I had a question, Mr. Ryan. What happens, and just from my information, if a tree does fall on a car or a branch falls on a car, a city tree or a house, how's that handled? Does the city take care of that, or is it split between the homeowner and the city? Just for my information, I'm just curious.
Commissioner Glab, those instances are handled through a claim process. So the person that had the damaged property would file a claim with the city and go through a procedure.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions? Yes, Vice Chair Rutherford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to chime in. I think there's precedence on the commission, for looking at healthy trees in the city as a vital part of the green infrastructure in the city, the public health infrastructure in the city. And, of all the requests that we've seen for tree removals, this seems the least severe. Like Commissioner Glab, I appreciate your comments, given that it's your district. I also took a walk by the tree. I could say that every one of my family members, most of my family lives here in Southern California. There's pine trees in their yards or on their streets. I think that's just a part of living in California, is there's going to be pine trees. And as testimony alluded to, there's hundreds in Costa Mesa. So I would move to approve the staff recommendation.
Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Thank you. I had a quick question just to confirm with Mr. Ryan. So is this tree possible to replant, to remove it and replant it like in one of the parks? to remove it but not kill it?
Commissioner Dorn Parker, due to the size and the location of the tree, it'd be cost prohibitive, and the tree would most likely not survive transplanting. In order to get a sizable root ball, you'd have to take out parts of the street, the sidewalk, and into the applicant's yard to transplant it.
Okay, thank you. And sort of on the line of Commissioner Glab, so if the pine cones do damage, then the parked car that and blower it blows into, does damage. There is a claim process where a city-owned tree that has these large pine cones that does damage, there is a process to make a claim to repair what that pine cone damaged.
That is correct. There is a claim process for any damage that would be caused by a city tree.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Commissioner Glab.
Yeah, I have one more question for Mr. Ryan. If the branches are hanging onto their property, are they allowed to be able to trim those branches? Or because the city owns the tree, does the only one that can trim the tree? Because I noticed some of the branches start to go across into their property.
City trees are to be maintained by the city contractor only.
Okay, so the resident is not allowed to be able to trim anything that's over into his property?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
I did have a question for you, Mr. Ryan, and one of the comments, a couple of comments that Ms. Richardson made, one in particular, she had said something about a tree that had fallen on her house previously. Did I mishear that in her comment? Or was it, you didn't hear that?
Sure, actually, I did hear that. I'm not sure if it was this particular property, this previous tree that was there. I don't have any knowledge regarding that.
And I observed in your, when I was visiting the property, I did see at the home directly next door that they also, if I'm not mistaken, had two of the same trees, one in the parkway and one on their property, or something like that, if I recall. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Commissioner Glab?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, she just talked about if a tree were to fall on the house. She didn't mention that one did.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. Wanted to make sure. All right. Well, a few minutes ago, Vice Chair Rutherford made a motion to deny the request, and I'd like to second that. Are there any other comments before we call for the question?
That Ms. Coleman's hand came up. Would you like me to try to get her in one more time?
I think we can make that exception. Thank you. We'll give her another try there.
Ms. Coleman, can you try to, you're in the meeting if you'd like to address the commission regarding your tree removal? Ms. Coleman? I can't hear anything. So, hello? All right, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ms. Coleman, we can't hear you speak.
Thank you very much for trying again, Sylvia. All right, so we have a motion before us and a second. Call for the question.
Vice Chair Rutherford?
Yes.
Commissioner Glab?
Yes.
Commissioner Villarta?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Yes.
And Chair Ashendorf?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Sylvia. The next item under new business is open space master plan update. Staff presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Jason Mitchell, Parks and Community Services Director. The budget that was just approved by City Council last week did include the open space master plan funding. So we're currently working with the consultant that had been working on the open space master plan back since about 2018. The reason I thought it would be important to update the commission on was, this is going to be a piece that comes through the Parks and Community Services Commission on multiple fronts. There will be hopefully like a planning meeting that we get scheduled for this summer, and then a follow-up meeting once the plan is ready to be prepared and approved by the commission to take to City Council. So there's additional outreach that will be done as included in this revision to the current master plan. And just to give you a brief background, it was started. They made significant outreach to the community at the time, but they weren't able to get it complete for a variety of reasons. So we're ready to finish the open space master plan. It will take a few months of outreach and work on the consultant's part, but we're excited about getting this moved forward. One of the best parts, as I mentioned in the item, is we do have updated census information from the 2020 census. So hopefully that, and combined with the more recent information gained from the public outreach, will give us a full and comprehensive master plan for our parks and open space. And that was my update.
Thank you, Director Minter. We'll open this item up to public comment. Sylvia, do we have anyone wishing to address this item?
If you're a member of the public would like to make a comment regarding the open space master plan update, please raise your hand. I show no hands, Chair Ashendorf.
Thank you, Sylvia. Then we'll close public comment. And any questions for Director Minter from commissioners? All right. Seeing none. Thank you, Director. We look forward to being part of this and participating in the process.
Yeah, and doing outreach as well. So making sure that we're getting that information to the constituents of each of the districts so that they know when and where they can provide input. There will be online surveys, most likely phone surveys again, and hopefully a few in-person community meetings for the public to come out and attend in person.
In person, yes. Thank you. All right, then. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Glab.
Yeah, I just had a quick question for Director Mentor. Are they still hiring youth for programs, for Parks and Rec programs?
I don't know that that falls under the open space master plan item.
Oh, sorry.
You're absolutely looking for additional staff members. You know, Monique can talk more about that when we get to the director's report if you want, if you have specific staff in mind. But yeah, by all means, we are still looking for staff members for a variety of different positions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then I move to receive and file this report.
This is Liz. I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Call for the question, Sylvia.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Yes.
Commissioner Villarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
and Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Sylvia. Item number 10, new business, Park Ranger monthly report.
Thank you. The Park Ranger monthly report for May 2021 is before you. I'll leave the report as it stands and answer any questions if you have them, or as long as I can.
All right, let's first acknowledge Commissioner Dorn Parker.
Yeah, we know that we have a member of the public, Martinez, who keeps asking this question. So about the bike licenses, is there a process now in place where someone can obtain a bike license? That we know that that was all closed down. The fire stations used to have the city hall. Other than city hall, is there a process that's now live that someone can obtain a bike license, or is it still shut down?
The public is available and does have access to the police department front desk where they can get a bike license. I'm not sure about other outreach opportunities. I know they were planning them or looking into them. I'm not aware of any that have been scheduled just yet.
So it's the same circumstances as it's been since COVID started?
No, with the reopenings of the front desk, for a while, the police department front desk was not open and accessible to the public for a period of time, but it is now.
So it is open, so someone can just obtain a bike license. Yeah. Okay.
been open in different phases. I think now is more open than it's been in the last year and a half. But there was a period where it was closed and then open just for like 1 or 2 people, and then they've slowly been trying to get it back open to the public.
Because that is sort of a circle around, is if you give citations but have no process of which they can clear the citations or prevent them, then I am not in law enforcement and I support our police department, but it seems contraindicated that you give a citation that can't be cleared or can't be taken care of. So that's continues to be a concern. And I know that's not directly in the purview, but since they happen at the parks, we do get wrapped into it. So thank you, Director Minton.
You're welcome.
All right, seeing no other hands raised, we'll open this item up for public comment.
Sure, thank you. If you are you a member of the public and would like to speak on this item, would you please raise your hand? I have 2 attendees. Hang on.
Thank you.
David Martinez, if you'd like to speak, you have 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I need to keep bringing this up because let's see, this is the month of May, and there were 3 citations in Talbot Park, which brings the total since October to 10 citations in Talbot Park and 16 overall in all of our parks, well, the senior center included. So all of these citations, Joanne Senior Center, Canyon Park, Talbot Park, and Fairview Park, they're all on the west side. I will keep mentioning this because why is it that it's only on the west side? And if you look at the enforcement summary for this month, you will also see that other than Wakeham and Geisler parks, all the other citations are also only on the west side, which is very interesting because I assume that parks on the east side and in the north are used about as much as our parks on the west side. And yet our west side parks are receiving the majority of the citations. So I need to bring this up because it doesn't make sense to me. I would also like to mention that the Bikeway and Walkability Committee has sent a letter to the City Council asking for basically rewriting the municipal code section on bicycles. So hopefully we will be getting rid of the bicycle license requirement, and I won't have to comment on bicycle license citations every meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
Sorry, I couldn't get unmuted. I have another member of the public, Flo Martin.
Thank you. Ms. Martin.
Ms. Martin, if you'd like to speak, go ahead and unmute.
Yes, thank you. A few months ago, a 10-year-old girl who lived with her family in Palos Verdes Estates suffered a crash, suffered brain injury, was in a hospital for a week, and then she died. I follow her mother on Twitter and I see her posts every day. My husband and I walk to the Bark Park on a regular basis to get our puppy fix. And I have noticed during those walks that there are tons of skateboarders at Skate Park who are not wearing helmets. I'd like to read item number 3 in the general skate rules that are posted at the park. Helmets, elbow pads, and knee pads that are commercially manufactured and in good condition must, I emphasize, must be worn at all times when skating. All helmets and pads must be fastened while skating. Again, I reiterate, I saw lots of kids, youngsters as well as teenagers and young adults at the skate park this last week, not wearing any protection at all. The city is liable if a parent chose to sue the city because of no control of the rules at skate park. I think the city would suffer great financial damage. Please, I ask the city park rangers to enforce all rules at the skate park on the east side next to T. Winkle. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you. I have another speaker, and Ann Harmer. Ann, would you like to go ahead and address the commission? Go ahead, you have 2 minutes.
Yes, I work with Bettina. We are at Fairview Park hours every week. We see multiple, sometimes dozens of dogs off leash. Who's responsible for enforcing the dogs on leash? If we even dare to speak to somebody about putting their dogs on a leash, we get screamed at. None of your business. You know, keep your nose in your own business. So it's disturbing for many reasons, one of which is the number of children over there. Another reason is we've seen dogs running through the vernal pools when there's nesting birds in there. They run through all of the underbrush where there's nesting birds. It's very disturbing on a number of reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harmer. Sylvia, any other members of the public?
Let me see, I have one. No, I don't, sorry. No, that was someone.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Sylvia. Then we'll close public comment on this item. Are there any questions of staff before we move on?
Would you like a motion to receive and file the report?
Yes, I would. Thank you.
I will make that motion.
Thank you. And I'll second it. All right. If there is no further discussion, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I'll call for the vote.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner Glab,
Can you restate what we're voting for?
Receive and file.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Commissioner Villarta,
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker,
Yes.
and Chair Ashendorf.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Sylvia. The next item on our agenda is the Parks and Community Services Director Report.
Thank you, Chairperson. The month of May went by in a hurry, and now we're almost already done with June. The great part is we're already doing summer programs, which, you know, as I've mentioned in the past, we're so late into June, it seems like we should be doing a June report, not a May report. But, you know, the month of May report is before you. A few things I'd like to point out. As previously mentioned, pickleball, our open gym pickleball is open again for doubles, and you know a lot of the restrictions have been removed. They are allowed to play doubles, which I know a huge requirement for many pickleball players is having the ability to play doubles. So if you haven't been to the Downtown Rec Center for pickleball, it's Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 10, 10:30 to 11:30, or 12 to 1. You can get your pickleball on. So, you know, go check it out. And yes, we are always looking for additional opportunities for pickleball outdoors. Tanninger Park is a location that we've considered for different grant opportunities and other activities as well, not just pickleball. But we're still working on that as part of the CIP. The Downtown Aquatic Center, it's great to see swim lessons going on for little ones. We've had adult lessons return, aqua aerobics has returned. So we're very excited that the pool is back up, and instead of having one person per lane, which was the restriction throughout COVID, we can have more swimmers in the pool now than before. Adult sports, we were able to finish the spring season that was halted due to the pandemic. So the softball organization that runs our adult softball league was able to finish the COVID shortened season from last March 2020. And now they're getting ready for the summer season of 2021. On the capital project side, the entrance gates have been installed at Perez Park. The only thing outstanding on that is some bistro tables that need to get installed, but they were still going through a lengthy fabrication process. On the special event side, we had the drive-in movie at IKEA last Friday night. It was a moderate success. I think the drive-in format is things that people were ready to get away from now that, you know, movie theaters are open. But I'm still glad that we did have about 100 people in attendance for the drive-in movie at IKEA. We do have a new event, the Read It, Watch It movie program. We encourage you, if you haven't already, and I hope we all have, read the book Charlotte's Web, and then we'll be showing the movie Charlotte's Web at the event lawn at Lions Park on July 17th. So this is a partnership with the Orange County Public Library. So we're very excited about the Read It, Watch It program. And then finally, the concert in the park. It's not till July 31st, but we wanted to make sure it was on your radars based on the earlier comments about potential dangers to Fairview Park. We're absolutely going to be evaluating how this particular year's event goes so that we protect the park and all the restoration efforts that are going on. A few other notes based on some comments. Yes, bike racks. We have ordered bike racks to be installed at Fairview Park. There's one kind of larger bike rack area and then a couple of smaller ones that we're trying to get done before that July 31st concert in the park day. So hopefully they come in and staff can do the work necessary to have them, the spaces ready to go for easy installation of the bike racks. Live in-person meetings, it's been mentioned by a couple people on the call tonight. We are heading in that direction. For those of you that are aware, the 15th council meeting, we did have in-person guests. Now we were limited in social distancing and there were definitely rules in place, but there was a Zoom option for people that weren't comfortable coming to City Hall. That was kind of the first test. We'll have more testing that we do on July 20th, which is the next council meeting. And we'll start getting to commissions and committees after that. So I don't know, I don't think July will have an in-person commission meeting, but I'd like to think August would be a great time for us to all get together in person. So I'm very excited about that. And just a friendly reminder, we are a commission of only 5 right now, or you are a commission of 5 right now. That makes our quorum 3. So just keep that in mind when corresponding or having meetings or anything like that, you keep that in mind. It is slightly different, you know, with the small commission, and we will not likely have our replacement commissioners for the vacant districts till August at the earliest. So it could be September. So those were all my notes. Monique, did you have anything to add?
Just to touch on, you know, summer programming did come back for the summer, and so we're excited about that. In the beginning of summer, we weren't quite sure where we were going to be with staff, so we started out with the registration on June 1st, and we had quite the wait list for numerous programs, but I'm happy to say now that we've gone through a lot of the wait list as we have added staff. So programs such as the Rocks program at the Downtown Recreation Center had a wait list of over 60, and we were able to hire enough staff to bring them all on board. And now we currently have 2 open spots. So I think that's great news. The Rocks program at Balearic, I believe, only has 5 kids still on the wait list, and that's down from 40. So we're definitely bringing staff on board. So Commissioner Glab, if you have any prospects, go ahead and send them our way. We'll be happy to interview and accept them, hopefully. So now we're just kind of gearing up and seeing how these summer programs are going and getting ready for the fall, and hopefully continue this, you know, track of expanding programs and getting kids in. So the only other thing is I wanted to touch on, the director mentioned our Read It, Watch It. That's a very exciting partnership with Orange County Public Libraries. They're celebrating their 100th birthday. And so they're going to be on site with their mobile library. They're going to be able to register kids and adults for library cards. We're going to have an opportunity drawing for kids that either show their library card or get a library card. So we're excited to have that partnership. The Donald Duggan Library has ordered additional copies of Charlotte's Web. So if you know any kids or adults that haven't read the book, and we encourage you to tell them to go check it out at the library. So we're excited for that. And then that's also tags along with, because there will be no beginning July meeting, but July is Parks Make Life Better month. So we want to advertise that as much as possible and to get everybody at the parks and enjoying the outdoor activities.
And one more thing, we will be announcing hopefully a date for ribbon cutting for both the Norma Herzog Community Center and Lions Park Playground very, very soon. I know there's been talk, I think we have a date, but I don't want to put it out there until everything's confirmed with our council. But we do thank you for all of your patience as we get these projects done and can't wait to get them open and in-person ribbon cuttings. So we're very excited about those.
And thank you both. It's been so exciting to drive by the park in my neighborhood, Balearic, and see the little kidlets playing out. They were dressed in costumes, little mini campers. So it's really exciting to see that energy return to the community. Yes, Commissioner Glab.
I just had a question from Monique. Are you in charge of the smart camps for the schools that the high schools do, the 2-week smart camps?
So we do run the SMART camp, where it's in conjunction with the school district. So we partner with them. So there's a portion that we're in charge of, and there's a portion that they run. So.
Okay, I'll just had a question via, I'll send it to you through email. I'll email you. So, thank you.
All right. Seeing no other hands up, I'd like to, before we close the meeting, acknowledge.
We have public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. One of these days. Open to public comment on the Parks and Community Services Director Report. Sylvia.
Thank you. I have, if you'd like to make a comment on the director's report, please raise your hand. I have one attendee, David Martinez. Go ahead.
Thank you. Since we're going into summer and we're probably going to experience the hottest summer ever, I just wanted to ask and make sure that we have a plan for cooling centers for anybody who needs something like that, who may not have air conditioning. And I just wanted to make sure we had something like that. Thank you.
If you'd like, Trashendorf, yes, the city has a cooling plan. It's kind of a living, breathing document. We're always updating it. Obviously, last year was the first time we ever had to create a cooling plan that had COVID guidelines. So now that wrinkle has been incorporated into it. So there are some community guidelines that still relate to COVID that will be applied in the plan, but the Costa Mesa Senior Center is our primary cooling center location. We do have a backup, which is the Downtown Rec Center. But the Costa Mesa Senior Center, we were able to open as a cooling center last summer on a couple of occasions.
All right. Is there anyone else, Sylvia?
No, I don't see any other hands raised. So.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll close public comment, and I'll make a motion to receive and file the director's report. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, it's been moved and seconded.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and take the vote. Vice Chair Rutherford?
Yes.
Commissioner Glab?
Yes.
Commissioner Villarta?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorn Parker?
Yes.
And Chair Ashendorf?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you to all of you for attending on Zoom, participating. I'd like to wish everyone a safe and sane and healthy, happy 4th of July. And I will call to adjourn the meeting to July 22nd via Zoom at 4 p.m. Thank you.
I will second that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Then it's a wrap.